On today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to take a look at a guitar. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel, clicking on the notification bell. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry. In this case, we went back to Zzounds and we got in, I'm going to put this on because there's a lot of words here. We got in the Yamaha Pacifica 612VIIFMX.
You couldn't memorize that?
I couldn't memorize it.
It's almost like, people singing with an iPad in front of them.
Exactly.
Are you allowed to do that?
4-chord worship songs where we use an iPad.
Right.
But this will sum it up. Loaded with a humbucker in the bridge position, with single coil pickup in the neck and the middle positions, the Pacifica 612VIIFMX is one versatile beast.
There you go.
Yamaha's own words.
So, should we get into it?
We should.
We always start. We don't do the geeky stuff. We don't pull it apart, take it apart, measure everything. We just kind of get them in and play them. We've been interested. We have some friends that really like the single humbucker thing. Neither one of us have ever really owned one of those. So we're like, let's go down the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. Let's try a bunch of them out. The first three, and I say the first three because who knows?
Which one? Yeah.
But the first three single humbucker guitars we're looking at are all in about the same price range. This coming in.
I knew there'd be a quiz. I did have it. $779.99.
$779.99.
You mentioned our names. I'll sell to you for $780.
I'll sell to you for $799.99. We will put a link to it because we appreciate Zzounds sending this over. So we do get into what do we like. So I'm going to have to say the first thing I like. I do like the color. It kind of reminds me a little bit of my old McCarty that I've been playing for so many years. So that red looks cool. And I actually like, is this something you think I can mint? I was looking over there and it was like gold when I was sitting over there.
Yeah, it depends on how it looks, right? How the light hits it.
Mint green, gold, off-whitish pick guard. I like how they've cut it. I like, I think it's a nice looking guitar. Let's leave it at that. The tuners.
Grover, mini Grovers.
Is that what they are?
Yep.
Do the heads on them look kind of strange? They're almost slotted, but there's like a slot, but they're not slotted.
Right. They're tall.
They're tall. I keep looking at them thinking, are they some kind of locking? I don't think they are. Mm-hmm. But they do look like they might. Like, is that one taller than that one?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Mm-mm. Maybe it's just the way the strings are behind them?
Yes.
Okay. All things we probably could have discussed beforehand. So they say third party parts, which these string trees are kind of cool. The way they've done the nut or not the nut, but the truss welded cover is kind of cool.
Right.
The bridge I thought the bridge felt really good.
It's a Wilkinson bridge.
Seymour Duncan. And unlike the last guitar we did in this setup, you do have a coil split. So on the tone knob, you can pull that up to split the coil. So you can go humbucker or single, and then you can go humbucker single position 2, single position 2, which is pretty nice.
Right.
I'd say it feels good. What do you like? What's jumping out at you?
Again, I always say I'm a child of the 80s, not by age, but by musical style. So it reminds me of like a Super Strat, right? You got the matching headstock with the matching body. It's a very fast neck. It's like a semi-gloss on the back, but it is slick. I mean, almost feels like rosewood. I overshot some of the notes when I first started playing because it's so easy to play. Still trying to figure out the pickups. Definitely on the other HSS we played, I didn't feel like I could get the position 2 that my ear was used to hearing on a Strat. You could get it on that and another setting. So I did like that. I did like having a full humbucker. Even though I said Super Strat, I love that they have a pickup cover on there. I like that finished look. It was easy to play. Still trying to get used to different pickups. The Seymour Duncan, I didn't look to see like how hot they are. They definitely, I think we agreed amongst the two of us, it didn't have a vintage sound to it.
Yeah.
So the pickups were a little different. So we were trying to adjust to that all night as we never touched the Tyler. We need some absolute, but in the pedals, we were still doing a lot of this. That's not a bad thing. It's just, it's a lot of this.
Yeah. I think something to listen for as you go through the video, if you check it out, almost right from the beginning, I felt like hotter than, maybe a little hotter than I'm used to in my Strat. Maybe a little, I don't necessarily want to say brighter. Not as warm, maybe a little more. You kept saying like more defined, more sharp.
So there's no slop in it at all.
Right. Yeah. So it's an interesting.
It's real tight.
Well, maybe we ought to get into the sounds.
Probably should.
Let's get the sound. So in contrast to normal,
I'm laughing because there's like 2 extra sounds, so I made you do the clean.
Right. So like in contrast to normal, Pat would normally do the clean. I did the clean this time. Started back on the bridge humbucker, split it, bridge humbucker in middle, split it, and then just walked up through them. And I'll try and put something down there so you know where it's at. And that sounds a little bit like this.
All right, so coming out of that, I immediately wanted to jump into what does the full humbucker sound like. So I grabbed the Keely 4-in-1 Super Rodent, and again, because they have the hybrid settings, I had the tone in the Super Distortion and the drive in the Rat, and I played this.
Whenever we shoot a guitar video, we like to dive back into our series and pull some pedals from the old series. Basically, this is an excuse for us to play a bunch of pedals. I grabbed off the shelf the Strymon Lex. Believe I was in position 2.
I think that's right.
With the bridge, with the humbucker on, not split, position 2.
Right.
And then used an expression pedal to move from slow to fast a couple times. Just playing a bunch of chords and letting the Leslie kind of do the work, and it sounds like this.
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I wanted to do the Tremolo series. So every time we get a guitar in, I feel obligated to grab the Tremolo. And in this case, I grabbed the Beard's Boss TR2 Tremolo, and I played it. You're gonna have to look. It's been a minute. It might have been in position 4, perhaps. Echo Tour. Tyler,
I don't remember.
Did this.
So in addition to playing a bunch of pedals, whenever we do a guitar video, it's a good time for us to then do a couple little jams. So in the first jam, I'm taking the Pacifica and a bunch of letters and numbers on a, okay, there's no way I'm going to remember it.
No.
On a little spin. And later in the video, for my drive pedal, I used the Lovepedal Vintage Modern. And I actually used that last week when we shot that guitar. And, you know, does this happen to you? You pull a pedal off the shelf you haven't played in a while. Next thing you know, you're playing it a whole bunch. Lovepedal Vintage Modern. And then I ran that into the Echo Tour and the Tyler. Pat backed me up.
With the Fender Player 2 series that we shot a video on that we released by the time you see this video. It was the HSS as well. And I think the Beard said when we shot this video, nothing sounds like a Fender plugged into a Fender. So I played this into the Fender Hot Rod with copious amounts of reverb and backed him up.
Just because I can, for the next pedal, I picked the Spectrum Intelligent Filter. There are some presets on them. One of them is called Thirst. I'm not sure.
What is
I don't remember what that has, but it's basically an envelope filter and an octave, I think, and it makes obnoxious sounds, but it sounds really good. I put this in the middle position, and here's what the Spectrum sounds like.
So again, with the child of the 80s, the playing era, not the birth era, much older than that, and the fledgling chorus series. We keep flirting with the chorus. We've filmed a couple It's coming. Don't worry. But I grabbed the one knob wonder. This MXR micro chorus is magical for one knob. If you go too far, you get a Leslie. So I went Leslie and I went a little bit further back. And I think I had it on 2, because if you play chorus on a S-type guitar, you have to have it on 2. Echo Tour, DLS, played this.
For my last clip, it's the vintage modern. Now, instead of trying to come up with something unique and creative or even semi-creative to play, a lot of single note stuff, but what I did is would play like a little lick, I guess you could call it, and in the bridge, and then I would play it again, but split the bridge. And then I'd play it again in the humbucker and play something new and split it again. And I kept going back and forth. And I think at one point I even rolled the volume down on the guitar a little bit so you could see how maybe it cleaned up with a drive pedal in front of it. And a drive pedal that was pushing pretty good. In fact, it looks like...
You dimed a drive pedal? What?
It looks like the drive was all the way up. I didn't realize it. I literally just plugged it in and went.
It's true.
Didn't try to do anything. So here you go. The vintage modern in the modern side. Playing with the volume knob and the splitting pickups.
All right, so before we get to our final thoughts, I wanted to tell you, set up the last jam. I'm obviously playing the the Pacifica with, I think I said a PhD, an MD, anything. All the letters behind it, we should probably look up, see what all they mean. I don't know. One appears to be Roman numerals. I'm not sure. But the Yamaha Pacifica HSS guitar. I went all Keely on that. Keely was kind enough to help us out. And so I grabbed the MK3 driver, making its debut on the channel. It was a collaboration with Robert Keely and Andy Timmons. Oh, and another collaboration with Keely and Andy Timmons is the Halo. I think maybe plugged in for the first time down here. I'm not sure.
We've had it, I think, once or twice before.
We didn't shoot a video on it, but I absconded it immediately and kept it at our church. And so I brought both these over. These are ones that are on my other pedal board. So I used the MK driver in the Andy Timmons tone stack side and the Robert Keely drive side. And I simply use the preset on this side of the Halo. It's a long delay with modulation. Try to be in the wheelhouse that I'm used to trying. And I play through the Tyler.
And then to back him up, I grabbed this Gibson.
Oh, it's Gibson.
Gibson, yes. Les Paul. This has a Thornbucker. It's a 60s classic. Has Thornbuckers in it. I used it on the neck Thornbucker and then split that and they sound really good split. So use that into the Fender, right into the Fender Hot Rod, and I felt like I needed a little something, but was too lazy to get a little something. And I was like, I'm in a Fender, so turn the reverb up. I think about halfway.
I think it's about right.
Yeah. So if you want to see that jam, you can jump to it. You go down in the description, jump to it, you can fast forward, or you could wait till we're done talking about our final thoughts. So Pat, final thoughts.
Yeah. Again, another one we're interested to get in. Again, we're exploring this whole HSS situation here. I mentioned in the beginning, I like it because it kind of reminds me of like a Super Strat minus some locking trim or anything like that. But it does have I think they call them premium third-party components. And so you have a Keylor Tremolo and you have these Seymour Duncans.
Keylor or Wilkinson?
Oh, Wilkinson. Yeah, you see, look at that. I went down Super Strat and I went right to Keylor. At least I didn't say, anyway, dive bomb. No dive bombing here. So, again, I think I've alluded to it in the beginning. I always get my final thoughts and what do I like about it blurred. It was pretty easy to play. I think I mentioned earlier, even though it's a kind of a gloss neck, it is slickery. The fretboard is easy to play. I think the fit and finish on this, which we really didn't discuss, I think was really good. I did like having the option of a full humbucker, split humbucker, a traditional position 2, and a little bit of a beefed up position 2. Mm-hmm. And the other two pickups held their own. There really wasn't a significant volume drop in any position, which was kind of nice. Still try to get used to it. I think I mentioned before, we kept the amp the same. We ended up trying to dial in pedals a little bit because these pickups are a little bit different than some of the ones we have. Didn't really look up these Seymour Duncan pickups as far as like their output, but they certainly felt a little hotter. I mean, overall, it's a solid guitar. Easy to play. Fit and finish is good. Price point like $779.99. I don't think you could go wrong with it. It's got all the modern carves and appointments to it. So,
yeah, I think for me, it seems like a little bit of a modern take on a Strat. Mm-hmm. Even down to the shape of it a little bit. I mean, it has that shape of Strat shape, but it's a little, I don't know. It feels a little slicker.
A lot of modern appointments, yeah.
Pickup wise, and I think, let's just say it. I think the fit and finish on it, if I had a nylon on my hand, I don't think we would be ripping the nylon at all. Right. So the frets feel good. The finish feels good. The finish looks good. Everything about it looks good. I'm kind of like, let's see if I can find a mistake really quick. I'm sure, send it over to Trogley's or somebody.
I think we failed to mention it as a Tusk nut.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we failed.
He could get out his blacklight and maybe find something wrong with it. But, I think overall, that feels great. Playability, I think it plays great. I like the neck. Like you said, a lot of times we're seeing guitars that don't have that high of a gloss on the back. Mm-hmm. But this thing feels good. Feels good.
Yeah, it's not tacky at all.
No. One thing you didn't mention that I like that he probably doesn't like, I do not mind the fact that the whammy bar just slides in. It doesn't lock anywhere. Right. It doesn't seem to lock anywhere. And it pops right out. I kind of like that because I don't like when they're like...
It's in the way for you, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like when you screw them in tight and then they sit there right in the way.
That's the difference between an all on all the time and a guy who manipulates the
time volume. Right. So but you'll actually notice in most of the clips I did, I just took it out and threw it on the thing so I could get to that pretty quickly. Right. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to the pickups to me. And there were moments where I was like, these things rock. The Lovepedal, the modern setting. Mm-hmm. I thought, man, these pickups sound really good. And then there were other moments where I went through maybe a couple envelope filters. I went through a couple Leslie pedals until I was like, well, which one can I find? Get that kind of sound I'm looking for. And a lot of times maybe it was the warmth thing. It wasn't as like, we always go to the warmth word.
Right.
But it just seemed like it wasn't as warm as I wanted it to be at sometimes. Other people might totally love that though, because I am kind of like, when I think it comes to Strats, those like Fat 50s pickups, the Texas Special pickups, we put the Twisted Telly pickups in the Telecaster. I like kind of those vintage tones. Right, and I think these are probably a little bit more modern.
Right.
I don't think they're going for, this isn't like if you're going to get, this isn't your SRV stuff.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Right. So it's a little more modern.
Right.
So you might dig that. And so when we do the video, we try to like dial in tones that we thought made this guitar sound good because it can. Just not sure that I always found the spot I like. I will agree with Pat. Last thing, I promise. That ability to split that humbucker was really good. As opposed to some of them that we've looked at, when you go to number 2, it automatically splits the humbucker. You don't have any control over that. And it's always a humbucker in the bridge. So that's pretty slick. I like that. So, yeah. Anything else? We're done?
No, we have one more HSS to go. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we got one more to go in our first round of 3 of these. Who knows if we'll go up to a higher. But these first 3 are all about the same price point. So with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for, if you take the time to click that subscribe button, click the notification bell, leave a comment. All those things are free. They really help support the channel. That's what helps us reach out and make connections with people like Zzounds to send us cool stuff like this to share with you. So hopefully it's a very mutually beneficial relationship in that way. So with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.